Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.
And we are back. We are glad that you are back with us. Thank you so much for tuning in to Mizpah TV, where we keep the fire of the altar burning 247. And right here is Money and Business Monday, and we've had a very, very interesting and also informative session with Pastor John Blessing, and make sure at least you're following on that, because that is so necessary for every business person. And as we promised earlier on, we mentioned that we'll be having to talk on matters Airbnbs. I know someone might be wondering, Emire, what is that? Don't worry, we are here to make sure you get to understand that. And also from this, actually, you might find out that your house can be giving you money. It's actually an asset, not a liability. But anyway, today we have our guest in studio who will be taking us through the matters of Airbnb's business. That is Mary Waguru, who is a manager at Rurua Safari House, and also she is a social entrepreneur and a graduate of the Moi University, where she studied community development. She's here with us today, and remember, you can ask any questions you have on matters Airbnbs on our number that is on your screen. And also we are coming to you live on Facebook, that is Mizpah TV Kenya, and also on YouTube, Mizpah TV Kenya. Let's get into the discussion of today. Good morning.
Good morning.
I see we are machi. Kuna vile tulitumiwa the same memo.
I think the Lord had spoken to us.
Indeed, he had. Welcome to Mizpah TV.
Thank you.
And welcome to Nuri Asubuhi. And today we want to talk about matters Airbnbs. For the first time, before that, I think before I knew what it was, nilikuwa tunasikia watu hiyo jina ikipita tu, ikinislap tu even, I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was afraid to ask, because the people I was asking would have really embarrassed me. So tell us, for that person who wants to know what it is.
Sure. So Airbnb is basically a house that is fully furnished, that we give everything that you need for cooking, for your own comfort, just like what you have at home, but now in a better manner. And you can do everything that you do at your home at a small fee.
At a small fee.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what this small fee is, but before we get to that, so this is just a house. So anybody can make their house an Airbnb, bora it's fully furnished. What are the requirements for you to set up an Airbnb?
Well, not really, not for everyone, but most or those willing can do something. So you have to make sure that the place you're setting the Airbnb is prime. And you must have permission. For example, if you're a tenant, you cannot just set an Airbnb. Remember, Airbnb means anyone can come in.
Yeah.
So that means even for the other people who are the tenants, they're also concerned about their security and other matters. So it is not really for everyone, but it can accommodate a lot of people. And there are some who will have a whole apartments for Airbnb. There are some who will have one compound, on compound for Airbnb. So it varies. It can be in a tenant setup, but it can also be individual or own compound setup.
Okay. And you mentioned of the matter prime. So when it comes to prime, what do you mean?
Yes. For example, you have to make sure that the area you want to set your Airbnb is very prime in terms of location, in terms of amenities. Are people able to access the basic amenities? We cannot set B&B in extreme rural areas sometimes because of proximity to the road. But of course, there are those who want that remoteness,
serenity, and all of that. Oh, awesome. And so what are your clients, those people who want to come, and is it like a guest house?
Not exactly, because we are very flexible. When you're working with Airbnb, we have a lot of flexibility, such that, for guest house, there is limited time, there is checkout time. For us in Airbnb, we have our flexibility. We can allow you to come in as early as today morning and exit tomorrow.
Okay.
But with guest house, I think their rules are normally by 10 you have exited so that they clean for next client. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what is the one thing that's unique about the Airbnb business?
One thing that is unique and that people love is the privacy.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Airbnb is very, very private. Also depending on where you're also taking the Airbnb.
Okay.
But that is one thing that I've come to see, that the clients really love privacy. Yeah.
So that is the unique thing, the privacy that people get to have.
Yeah, and the fact that it's cheaper. When you think about it, the fact that you can come with your food, you cook, and nobody asks you about the extra charges, it's pretty something that you should consider.
Okay. Let's talk of I am a client.
Yeah.
I want, let's shift kidogo from being the business owner, but I'm a client.
Okay.
And I want to just come and have the space to myself. So you said it's fully furnished. So that means everything including food, am I excluding the food?
Well, for some B&Bs, I have the utensils. You come with your own food.
Okay.
And there's some that will say, we have a chef, you bring your food, we cook for you
Hey.
at a small fee.
Hey, raha mustarehe. I know. Wow, that's so good. And so to that person, what's the average cost for it? If I want to have maybe an Airbnb, maybe I want a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, what's the average cost for it?
Well, the cost varies depending on the setup, what is available, because some people have gone to an extent of really investing in Airbnbs. So that also matters when it comes to pricing. But the average cost should range from bedsitter 1,500, 1-bedroom from 2,500. Of course, it goes
Per
up.
night?
Yes, per night. And 2-bedroom can start from 4,500. The prices can go up mostly. And they can also shift a bit lower, but not so low. Yeah.
So average is, you've said 1,500
for bedsitter or studio.
bedsitter.
Yeah.
So if you want to go and just be alone, with your own bedsitter, fully furnished with everything, 1,500 per night, you're sorted.
You're sorted.
And you can agree with the number of nights that you want to be
Oh,
paying.
yes.
Awesome.
Actually, there's some who will even give you better rates. If you're taking a bit longer, they'll give you better rates, and they'll give you even more options. Yeah.
Okay. And there was this question I had asked about a person if I want to turn my house into a real estate, into an Airbnb. And you mentioned there are few things that are required for that. Now, if I have maybe I have my real estate. Maybe I've seen mambo na tenants, by the kuna vile tu inanikanganya na it's too much.
Yeah.
So if I want to start from scratch to set up an Airbnb from zero ground.
Yeah.
So what are the requirements that are needed?
Number one, you must make sure that your business is legal. So you need to make sure the licenses are up to date.
You need a license for
Oh,
that.
yes. Although not specifically for Airbnb, but you need one for more like a lodging, a hotel, depending on the services that you offer. For example, if you will be running a cafe, you will be having people come around, eat, go. That is more like a hotel. So you will be taking a license that deals with hotel sort of arrangements. But now, for some, in the tenants sort of setup, it is not really a must. May the government not know this very soon. But because you see, it's just a house, so you need to have your furnitures set, your utensils set, and just like a normal home, and advertise it. If you are in your own apartment, you can advertise it as open as possible. But if you are in a tenant setup, you have to do your things in a better manner. You cannot advertise as open as the others.
Okay. And so, as a tenant, maybe that is your own house. That maybe you've you've rented out. You're renting a house, and so maybe there are those people who travel a lot. You know, wako na nyumba lakini hata nikaa hawana, like hawatumi because maybe because of their traveling and all of that, so they might choose to turn their Airbnb into their rental, their house into an Airbnb. That you have to inform the owners and all of that.
Actually, yes, you must seek permission from the landlord or landlady, because remember, this is not what you agreed with the owner.
You are renting
so you are now starting a business, and remember, as they were taking the licenses, they were taking it as a tenant, as a residential, not commercial per se. So you have to make sure you're also in line with what your landlord or landlady has to say about it. Some will agree and some will say no because of the family setup in rental houses.
Okay. And what about, you can kindly outline to us that some of the few things that a potential client should check in during the checking in into an Airbnb, because let's say I am a client, I have zero understanding about it and I want to rent out. I've had maybe my friends say it's good, you know, it's just 1,500 shillings. And so what are some of the things they can check in?
Some of the things that first you should consider is your security. Is the place secure? Number 2 is proximity to the roads. The third thing is privacy, if you need it. The next thing is parking. If you have a vehicle, is it secure parking? Is it free? Because some people pay for parking. Another thing is the amenities. Is there electricity? If there is no electricity, what's their backup? Another thing that you should consider is other services like laundry. For example, you're staying a bit longer. Do you need somebody to wash for you? Another thing is about their catering options. Do you have to cook? Can somebody come and cook for you? And of course, you have just to make sure that you also inform the other person the number of people that you expect, because this is very open. You can bring in someone, but you also have to inform the other person. Yeah.
Okay. And I've had some issues with the Airbnb. People saying with the CCTV cameras and all of that, there are those who have used it to do some really bad things. Maybe it's a couple that has come in, and you find there are people who one time they got to see their business, their personal, business being out there. And so those issues, what do you do as a manager to make sure you prevent that? And what can also those other people do?
Number 1, we have a KYC. KYC means know your client.
Okay.
Once you check in, we take your details because anything can happen. And we have to make sure that you're also safe, as we are also taking care of our safety. So we have to take your personal details. If you have your vehicle, we take the registration details. If you're having people come, we also take their details in the check-in card. Once you're there, well, for most B&Bs, there are no cameras inside. We really discourage that because people want that privacy, and having those CCTVs in the rooms is not what they want. So the cameras will be on the outside so that we are also secure. Another thing is for people who are taking it longer, we always have after 2 days, we have to come and clean. During cleaning, you are able to see, is everything okay? Because some people will be messing with your rooms. So you have to also take time and see, are they okay? And you also have to keep in contact with the client. Are you comfortable? If it's somebody who came, are you safe? Are you feeling safe? So that by the time of the exiting, you know this kind of client behaves like this. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned about cleaning. So these are some of the services that are offered. Can you choose? Maybe you want to do your own laundry, or you can have someone. It's a must.
You can choose. Of course, you see, some people are very specific. This is how I want my clothes washed. So you will provide them with the machines that they need, and you give the instructions, and once they are done, they give back the machines. And there are some who will be very categorical. I don't do machines. I do manual. You provide the basins and other laundry
services as well. Awesome. And given the current trends in the matters of hospitality industry, what would you advise someone who wants to invest in Airbnb?
It's a good business, but you also have to be real. you have to know that sometimes there are days that you stay without clients, and there are days that you have clients in plenty. So you have to balance. You have to know the high season and the low season, and you have to price your B&Bs according to your expectation. Don't let people set standards. Set them. Let them find them. Don't do what others are doing because they are doing it. Have your standard.
Okay. So there are those times that we have the business is low for real. Like it sounds like it's a cliche because we all know people love traveling. If it's not business, it's holiday.
Yeah.
So there's like if you say something like maybe a hotel,
Yeah.
you might know there are low seasons because not everybody will come to a hotel. But an Airbnb, it varies from maybe a business trip, so that is not limited on a specific time for you to go and enjoy yourself. That those who want to just have gone to visit family. So there are low times actually with all of those things.
Now from around June, July, August, we're now having peak season coming up. So during May, April, March, around there, it's not very high season because people are really busy. But during the peak season, right now people are traveling, the tourists are coming, and even though the business people are there, the tourists really make it better because remember, these are people who are used to having fun, so they are not afraid to spend. But the business people, they are on a budget sometimes, so they maintain their budget.
Okay. So we need also to be careful. As much as it sounds so good to be true, also there's that other side as well.
Actually, the prices sometimes can differ because of the season. When it's low, you can take as little as 1,500, but when it's high season, a bed sitter or a studio can go up to 3,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Nini na matatu, you're like this peak hours.
Yes, you have to in this business because that will also get up for the low season because during that time you also need to have something.
Okay. And apart from the locals, do you also get to have like tourists come in? Do they prefer? Have you seen more tourists preferring Airbnbs to guest houses?
Yeah, actually, when they come, they mostly come. They purchase a package from the tour guide, the person taking them to the parks, to the visiting areas. So when they come, we have partnered with agencies. So when they come, they will take a whole B&B sometimes, depending on the number. And some will always opt for privacy in that setup. The hotel is very open also for the tourists, but we find them opting for B&B sometimes.
Okay. That's amazing, and I think this is a business that most people should start looking into, and as they move on and all of that, because it sounds like a good business, and you can. That's why we were discussing something with someone alikuwa anasema that an Airbnb, I think actually it's even our producer. An Airbnb, you need no capital. If you're good, you have your house there. You can start it off. Maybe you're traveling. There are those people who travel to the United States or to other countries outside there, and then maybe they had already bought their house, they had fully furnished it, and just other than leaving it to someone to manage it, they turn.
Actually, we have a good number of people who are doing that. For example, you have a rural, not really rural per se, but you work in really urban area and you have a home along
you'll be
the road.
yeah.
So that's your rural home, but it's not rural. So you will decide, instead of it staying idle, instead of me giving it to a tenant, let me convert it into Airbnb because it's easy to manage. As you can see, I can access that room if need be. So I'm able to see what's taking on. But when you have a tenant, once you give them the keys, they pay the rent, that's it.
Yeah, true. Awesome. And what is the longest period of time for a client for an Airbnb they can stay in that place? Because kuna wenye wanaweza convert into their homes. What's the longest?
We don't really have the longest, but some people take 3 months. 4 months, up to 6 months is the highest I've had so far.
A whole 6 months?
A whole 6 months.
Where?
Somebody comes, pays, they're probably on assignment, or they've come for, they are teaching, they are doing some business that they really need to be there. So they prefer, instead of me furnishing a whole
By they're starting to buy new sufurias, mattresses and everything. This is a fully furnished house.
Yeah, and
so why
remember,
not?
Because they're in business, they need Wi-Fi and they need a lot of cyber services, which we offer.
Yeah.
So they are still comfortable. They'll make their calls. They are literally in an office setup also.
The one I visited, there was a Wi-Fi and all of that.
Yeah.
So I want us to take a break, but when we come back, there's still so much more to discuss on matters Airbnb, and also tell us a bit more about Rara, you being a manager. How has it been so far? And what's your plan for the next 5 years from now? So we take a break. Be back with more. Stay tuned.
Mizpah TV, keeping the fire of the altar burning.